This is Bad Boys and Beyond with your hosts, Mike Payton and Keith Black Trudeau.
That's it, baby, and a foul.
Hey, y'all put it in the front page, back page, middle page, wherever headliners, column 1 or 2, we will win game 2. Let's back it off. We will win game 2.
The game's over, and the Pistons have won the World Championship.
Welcome back to Bad Boys and Beyond. We are your hosts, Mike Payton and Keith Black Trudeau. And obviously, you all know what we're doing here tonight. It's the 2024 NBA Draft, and it's going down, well, right now, basically. They're coming back from commercial, and it should be happening any second now. Keith, are you have any excitement at all, or do you feel any emotion towards this draft?
I texted I had an appointment with a doctor that it kept me waiting for like 45, 50 minutes. So I was bored out of my mind. But I was thinking about the draft earlier today, and I was texting a friend of the show, Bryce Simon. I said, oddly enough, this is the most interesting draft I can remember in a very long time because there's so much. We still don't know who's going to get picked first. I can't remember the last time I didn't know who was going to get picked first by the time the draft started. So this is the uncertainty is actually making this pretty fun because teams could move up, they could move down. The Pistons could stay at 5. They could trade down entirely. They're not going to trade out of the draft. I think that's been pretty heavily implied that they might trade down, but they're not going to trade out. They're going to get a draft pick at some point today. But yeah, I'm actually pretty excited for this, more than I thought I would be. Does the curse of the Darko live tonight? Look, I'm not a big believer in curses. The Detroit Lions were cursed for 50 years until they hired Brad Holmes, who was the first. No coincidence, he was the first guy in 50 years that they hired that knew what he was doing. So I'm hoping if there's a curse that the fact that Trajan Langdon is now in charge is going to fix that. I'm hoping. Trajan hasn't made a single roster decision yet, so it's all hopes and dreams at this point.
Yes. We're going to see. I hopefully, they just make the right pick, and that's all we can really hope for at this point. And but there is something that obviously that we need to talk about. There was a kind of a big trade last night. Like Mikal Bridges got traded to the New York Knicks. Yeah. And friend of the show and multiple time guest James Edwards put out a tweet that I thought was interesting. He said, end quote, not saying there's anything to this, so don't run with it, but worth noting with Brooklyn entering a rebuild, Nets GM Sean Marks and Trajan Langdon have history. One of Marks' first moves in Brooklyn was hiring Langdon as an assistant GM. So, maybe there could be a trade partner there for something. I thought about 20 minutes ago that I was going to be talking about the potential trade for Nick Claxton. But as we know,
he's young enough where they can keep him around for a rebuild. I was not surprised at all to see them bring him back.
Yeah. I was kind of looking at their roster and I can't really, Cameron Johnson would certainly be interesting, I think. Right.
All right, here's my problem with Cam Johnson. He's paid a little too much, not as overpaid as he used to be, because the cap is going up and his contract is staying the same. But I think he's still a little bit overpaid. I think the Pistons dodged a bullet last year, quite frankly, because the idea was maybe Cam Johnson would step his game up if you gave him this big deal like a lot of players do, and he didn't. He was the same Cam Johnson. He was hurt. I don't know how many games that he missed. I know he was hurt, just like he's been hurt just about every year. He rarely plays a full season. And he got paid a lot, didn't produce anymore. His percentages were fine, but that's just what he is. He's an okay, fine player. I wouldn't be horrified if the Pistons traded for his contract. I just don't see him being a big needle mover unless you bring in a coach or a system that's really going to utilize him. And maybe they do that. Who knows? Like James Borrego is a name to watch because if it's anything, if his philosophy hasn't changed since his Charlotte days, he's going to really install an up-tempo offense. He likes to out-condition you, run you up and down the floor until you have nothing left by the fourth quarter. That's kind of coachy. So if they really plan to go that route, then yeah, maybe Cam Johnson would be a good fit. I noted that Luke Kennard might be a good fit, simply because he's a guy that's going to bomb threes the entire game, and in transition, he's deadly at that. So, but that's all conjecture because we don't really know if Trajan really wants Borrego or not.
Yeah, the other guy. I mean, there were two other guys that I kind of was thinking about, and it was Lonnie Walker and Day'Ron Sharp, but
yeah,
and those guys would be low cost.
Yeah. They'd be cheaper. I mean, you'd have to pay them less, which would be fine. I don't know. I'm not terribly thrilled with the idea of rating Brooklyn's roster because I don't think the roster is that great.
Yeah, that's fair. But with them being in rebuild mode, they might be willing to sell.
Oh, I'm sure they're willing to sell anybody. Dorian Finney-Smith would be a nice buy low option, but look, they're looking to sell their players for future assets, and the Pistons are also in the business of acquiring future assets. So are you really going to want to give a future asset away for one of their players? I don't know that the Pistons are going to be willing to do that at this point. As for trading the fifth pick away, I guess you would have to have someone that you were in love with the fifth pick. Like if they traded down to 9 or 10, who is there that you would need to have at 5? That's the must-have player. There's not one for me. All right.
Right.
Who did the Hawks pick? I don't have audio on.
They haven't actually. What are they
applauding for?
Well,
okay.
They made the pick. They've turned the pick in. We're just waiting for.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
I mean, I think it's either going to be Alex Sarr
or Reese. Yeah, but that's what I'm curious about. Is it going to be Sarr or Risacher? Which Frenchman is going number 1?
It's weird because a week ago it seemed like Sarr was the unquestionable pick.
And Sarr just for whatever reason does not want to play in Atlanta.
Yeah,
like Risacher would be a good fit there. Sarr would be a good fit. I don't know. I would think I would like Sarr as a prospect over Risacher, but and look, the Hawks could be trading this pick too. We don't know. That's what makes this draft so intriguing to me.
James just asked a good question on Twitter here. Would Keegan Murray have gone number 1 in this draft? And I think the answer is probably yes.
No, Keegan Murray would not have gone number 1. Stop. Like Keegan Murray was seen as a rather safe choice, very good college player. Like, yes, knowing what we know now in the NBA, like I compared him to Danny Granger prior to the draft. And I think I was on the high end of people that liked him. I don't know. I just can't see him going number 1 when, for what people thought he would be. He's better than what the people thought he would be, but that's like saying where would Donovan Mitchell go in this draft? Like he was the 11th pick in his own draft for a reason because at Louisville they didn't let him do a whole lot. He was just an off-ball 2-guard that played defense. He was a 3-and-D guy. No one knew how athletic he was with the ball in his hands. So I don't know. I don't like the whole, this guy that got drafted 3 years ago and has been a really good NBA player at number 10, he would go number 1 today. Well, yeah, of course, because we know what he becomes. Like, I just don't think it's a fair assessment.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying. I do not disagree with you, sir. Oh God, Shams has already tipped the pick. Why can't they? Remember when we were kids and we just didn't know, and the fun.
Oh, I remember
watching the draft.
Look, I remember being at the draft in 1994, or excuse me, 93, 31 years ago, and here was no cell phones. Like even the people on TV knew that Chris Webber was getting traded to Golden
State. With the first pick in the 2024 NBA draft. The Atlanta Hawks select Zachary Risacher.
Oh, hello.
From Lyon, France, and France's JL.
Hello.
There you go.
If I had to put money on it as of like 10 minutes ago, I would have picked Risacher, but like even 3 days ago or a week ago, I would be shocked. Like Sarr has been the consensus number one pick in this draft up until like 2 weeks ago. And he decided he didn't want to be the number one pick for some reason. It's so weird.
Yeah, I would just love to play in Atlanta. It's such an awesome city. Just alone, that alone is like the reason to go there. The food is incredible, but then obviously playing there, you get to play with Trae Young and you get to be with Grant Hill, man.
Sorta.
Yeah, he's there.
He's there, but he's like there in name.
Friend of the show, and former guest, by the way.
All right. So what did I think of the Portland Washington trade? I honestly kind of have to see because Portland giving up their pick this year plus a pick 5 years from now, just to get off of Malcolm Brogdon's contract in exchange for Denny Avdija, who actually had a really, really good breakout season last year for the Wizards, but they were down 20 points in every game, so it's hard. Like, how do you digest those numbers? Because none of the games were really that competitive.
Right.
Denny Avdija, that's what his name is. All right. So yeah, like this could be an absolute steal for the Trailblazers, but on the same token, the Wizards just got a pick in this draft and a future asset that they can trade. Plus they got off of Malcolm Brogdon's contract and cleared some payroll. And I think he makes like $20-some million. So it wasn't a small amount of money. So it could go either way. Like right now, everyone's saying that the Blazers, stole Avdija from the Washington Wizards. I guess I'm not. I would like to see him prove those numbers, on a competitive team. But look, he had a great season last year. There's no doubt. There's no debating that. But I did watch a lot of those games, and a lot of them were Wizards are down 20, and then Avdija, catches fire.
Yeah, does that really count? It's just like it's almost like Sharif Abdul-Rahim on the Grizzlies.
They were 98% as bad as the Pistons were last year. I think their point differential might have actually been worse.
France, man. France is
back to back Frenchmen. The last two drafts, Frenchmen have gone number one back to back.
What do they got in the water over there?
Yeah, it's crazy how far French basketball has come since Tony Parker, and he was like the best French player ever, like the best French prospect ever in, I want to say 99 or 2000 when he went the end of the first round. So for them to go from that to this, like where they're just pumping out NBA prospects, like high level NBA prospects every single year, like multiple, it's stunning to me. That's there is no better example of how the game of basketball has grown globally than the nation of France. Because like Argentina was already strong in basketball, Spain was already strong. France is the first nation, I think, in the Dream Team era that's kind of picked up basketball and really grown up with it. Andrea Bargnani, yeah. Oh, that was a whiff of a number one pick. I'm sorry. Like, it's not that he couldn't play, but I would love to know what caused the Raptors to think he was worth the number one pick. That was a bad draft. We went over that draft. But still.
So we watched Hustle over the weekend, the Adam Sandler movie that my wife had never seen. And it's funny they brought up Andrea Bargnani as one of Adam Sandler's characters, like one of the reasons that maybe they shouldn't trust him because he was like super in on Andrea Bargnani and the Sixers trying to trade up.
Now I assume this to me is the only no-brainer pick of the entire first round. Whoever fell to 2 was needed, or it needs to go at 2. So sorry, didn't get picked at 1. I think he's clearly the best prospect available. You have to pick him at 2. Washington badly needs a rim presence. They haven't had one since probably Marcin Gortat.
West Sunset.
Yeah, so I think they're definitely they have to go with Sarr here. It's an easy. It's set up on a tee for them. They can't not do it unless they trade the pick. And then who's Houston. Oh yeah, what Houston does is going to be fun too, because I think Houston is the first real trade candidate in this.
Well, apparently they want Kevin Durant now.
Yeah,
so,
and if you noticed, the psychotic owner of the Phoenix Suns went on Twitter today and said, "No, we're not trading Kevin Durant." So if he says that, they're not going to do it. It really doesn't matter what James Jones wants or not. He signs off on all trades. So if he says we're not trading Durant, he's staying.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, there we go. Alex Sarr is the number 2 pick.
This is just a picture perfect fit for the Washington Wizards. Even though I think Sarr is long term, he might be better off as a 4, similar to Jaren Jackson Jr. Right now, the way that the Wizards play, he can run up and down the floor at their pace, block shots. He's probably not physically equipped to deal with NBA centers as a rookie, but that's fine. Does DeAndre Ayton come to mind for Alex Sarr? No. Ayton was a true center. Alex Sarr he's like a 4-5 kind of hybrid type, like physically, and I'm saying this physically only, but he bears a resemblance to like Rasheed Wallace, like a guy that's a 4 that's tall enough to play a 5 in small ball lineups, but I think unless he puts on a ton of weight and muscle, I think he's probably a tall 4 rather than a small ball 5. I think that's his best role. But hey, he's very skilled. A lot of guys in this draft, you're going to hear that the thing is going to unlock their game is going to be their ability to hit an open 3. Sarr is right at the top of the list. Just like Jaren Jackson Jr. exploded when he started shooting 3s at a good clip, I think that's going to be Alex Sarr's biggest hurdle. Because if he can do that and stretch the floor the way he can handle the ball and drive to the basket, that's going to be dangerously scary in a year or two. Like his mobility is very much like Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley was more skilled. He had better defensive awareness, I think. But Sarr's got a little bit more beef on him. And I think Sarr, he doesn't have I don't think his ceiling is what Evan Mobley's ceiling is. If it was, he would have gone number 1 regardless. But defensively, I think he can be like 90% of what Evan Mobley is.
That would be, I mean, what more could you ask for?
Well, I mean, he 90% of Evan Mobley is probably, it's borderline all-star at his very peak.
Right.
So, yes, there's levels above Alex Sarr, but in this draft, look, you don't need to be an all-star to be an impact player anyway. It's very hard to make the all-star game now as opposed to yesteryear. So to say he's probably not an all-star is not, he can still be worth the 2nd pick in this draft easily and never playing an all-star game.
Yeah, I mean, the all-star game's a popularity contest, though.
Well, it's always been a popularity contest. This is we have more players and more teams now, and it's just harder to make it. We have more roster spots, more importantly. It's just harder to make the all-star game.
And that's why, I don't know, man, maybe Cade never makes one.
Whereas, 15 years ago, Jamal McGlure can average 9 points and 9 rebounds and make the all-star game because he's, the next best center in the Western Conference that wasn't injured.
Jamal McGlure was an all-star. That absolutely happened.
I'm thinking Houston is going to bleed this entire clock down taking phone calls.
Yeah, probably.
I think they'll use the pick, I think, if they have to, but I think right now they're interested in win-now moves.
If you're the Pistons, is there anyone that you are trading up for? I mean, is there anything here that you have to have? You couldn't live without?
No. I mean, look, after 1 and 2, it was obvious Sarr and Ricochet in some combination were going to go 1 and 2. But after that, like 3 through 9 in this draft could be in any order. Klingon could go here. Klingon could drop to 7. We really don't know at this point. So if you really don't know, why are you moving up?
Right.
Like Tankathon has Reed Shepherd at 3. I could see Reed Shepherd dropping below the Pistons. Or I could see him going at 3 here. Like Dalton Connect is another guy. Your guy Dalton Connect. He could go, like he's worked out for teams above Detroit. He could go probably not 3, but 4 maybe. Or he could drop past the Pistons and into like the 8-9 range. So I think you'd have to be crazy to want to trade up if you're the Pistons.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we all know, I guess at this point, we don't know for sure, but it certainly seems like Dalton Connect is not going to get drafted by the Pistons today.
I did have a one mock draft by a guy that apparently talked to a bunch of different people around the league, and he actually had Connect going to the Pistons, but that was the first mock I've seen in 3 weeks that had Connect going 5th.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a lot of.
All right, pick us in. Now this is where it gets really fun.
Houston's going to make the pick.
Well, this isn't the NFL. They can make the pick and then announce a trade later.
Right, of course.
Whereas in the NFL, when they make the pick, the player's handcuffed to them.
With the 3rd pick in the
Hey, there's the
2024 NBA Draft, the Houston Rockets select Reed Shepherd
Yep, there we go.
from the University of Kentucky.
Right.
There you go. You just speak of the devil. You just said it.
Yeah. Look, Reed Shepherd is not Bobby Hurley. He's not even a point guard, first of all. And secondly, I don't recall Bobby Hurley having a 42-inch vertical. Also, Reed Shepherd is a much better shooter than Bobby Hurley ever was. All due respect to Bobby Hurley. Like, also, Bobby Hurley's career was ruined by a
car accident.
Car accident because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Like, I don't think we need to be comparing Bobby Hurley as like a bust. Like maybe he would have been, but we don't know for a fact.
Right.
He wasn't given a fair chance.
Same thing with Jay Williams. We don't.
Yep.
You know,
that's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah. Like Jay Will might actually have been an all-star for all we just don't know. Like his body was ruined by a car accident, or was it a motorcycle accident? I think in his case it was a motorcycle.
Well, this was, if I recall last week's show, this was your guy. This is the one that you.
No, hold up. This is the guy that I said would be the Cade Cunningham pick. Where the only reason to pick him would be to make Cade Cunningham a little happier, because I think he would be the best pairing in the backcourt next to Cade. It's not to say that I thought he was the best player, but I thought he was the best fit for the franchise player, and I still believe that. His shooting ability is unbelievable. Like people just see him as a 6'2" like white shooter. Like he is an incredible shooter, and it's not just the shot. Look how quick his release is. Like you don't think this guy's used to shooting over 6'8", 6'9" guys? Like
we talked about that.
Luke Kennard, who is a very slow release, very accurate shooter, but very slow release, and had trouble getting up a lot of threes for the Pistons. Reed Shepherd will have no such problem. That ball is in his hands and it's gone. That's why I love Reed Shepherd's shot. Is just I could watch him shoot in an empty gym. It's just that shot is freaking flawless.
Yeah, it's pretty fluid.
Yeah,
there's that 42-inch vertical you were talking about as well.
Which fine. He probably short-armed his wingspan in order to make his vertical a couple inches tall. I don't really care. Like he's an athlete. He racked up blocks for a guy that's a 6'1" guard. If that doesn't tell you that he has athleticism, I don't know what does. What kind of player can Reed Shepherd be? As if you recall last week, I said his absolute best case scenario was Jeff Hornacek. And look, Jeff Hornacek, even with a ruined knee, had a very, very successful all-star career in the NBA. Reed Sheppard does not have any bad knees that I know of. I think Hornacek might have been an inch taller than Sheppard, but
wow, that hat looks like it's really big on him.
yeah, that head does not fit him.
Swimming in that hat. Once again, I like the draft hats this year. I do enjoy them.
I don't like them. I'm sorry, I don't like them at all. I don't like the beige. Like the logos are fine. I prefer the white or color. I don't like beige. Beige looks beige does not look good on most things.
Okay, that's fair. So if you're Popovich, what are you hoping for here?
And the Spurs picked twice, right? So
yeah,
really you're trying to figure out which player you want that isn't going to slip, that's most likely not to slip. Okay. I hope the Pistons don't trade 5, followed by please Pistons trade 5.
He just wants some excitement.
All right, if you're the Spurs, who do I think is the best fit for them? Like, Stephon Castle strikes you as a really Spursy player, but Stephon Castle can't shoot, and they already have multiple defensive wings that can't shoot. Nikola Topic would have been perfect for them, but he has a torn ACL. So do you want to wait a year for him? Devin Carter, who I think the Pistons might be in love with too. The problem is, do you want to pick Devin Carter at 4 when a lot of mocks have him going in the 10, 11, 12 range? But yeah, Devin Carter's awesome. I kind of wish we would have talked about him last week. But that's another pure 3-and-D. He's 6'3", doesn't have a terrible amount of explosion at the rim, but man, he's 6'3" with super long arms and defensive IQ of 1,000. And he shoots 42% from 3. And he's a pure shooting guard. How many more boxes do you need to check for a guy that the Pistons could use? But the Spurs could use him too. The Spurs need shooting and they need playmaking from the guard position. That's what they need. Rob Dillingham would honestly not shock me here because they could really use him. I mean, it wouldn't be a pick at all, but they could use him.
ESPN and their graphics team, they are just always doing too much. They're always creating
we have some news from the gallery. Pistons are trading. Yeah. Let's see. The Pistons are trading down from 5, which we thought was probably going to happen.
Is that what Woj said? I don't see Woj saying.
It doesn't say anything on here, so unless he's saying it on TV. Stephon Castle. Yeah.
There's Stephon Castle.
It wouldn't shock me if this was for a trade because unless are you moving all of the no 3-and-D wings that you already have? Oh, Bob Wojnarowski? Wojo. No, that couldn't be. He doesn't report on the Pistons.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. If he's right, I am floored. Piston. No, it's Wojnarowski. So no, that's not him. That's that's Wojo making a prediction. Wojnarowski is Wojo making a prediction. That's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not sources. If they trading down would be if they picked Rob Dillingham of all the people, I would be just I would expect 9 other trades because I love Rob Dillingham. I said last week I could watch his highlights forever, but he is the last thing the Pistons need, another ball dominant, undersized 2-guard that needs a ball in his hands. Those are all plays less than no defense.
You did have some nice things to say about it last week.
Yeah. No, that gave me a heart attack. Like, no, please don't. Do not take Rob Dillingham, of all players.
Well, we are getting ever closer.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It still wouldn't shock me if the Spurs, like, personality-wise, he's a Spurs type of player. He doesn't fit with the lack of shooting they already have. Like, that's the reason no one wanted the Pistons to take him, despite the fact he's just a bulldog defender.
Well, the Pistons just tweeted out that they are officially on the clock. So,
okay, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
No, but the draft is clearly moving very fast.
Oh yeah, it's the NBA draft. It's different.
Nolan Bianchi. I'm sorry, Nolan, if I'm saying your name wrong, buddy. I've never asked you how to say it, and I will at training camp. He's saying Pistons taking Jack Golke.
Stop. So, but look, this is the scenario. If the Pistons were going to trade down and get a haul, this was it. This was the exact scenario that had to play out. Because who is left on the board?
Well, there's Dalton Knecht. There's Klingon.
Exactly. Klingon. Who
you want?
Half the NBA, every team that's in a playoff race this next year, half of them want Klingon. I know the Utah Jazz really want Klingon. I know the Memphis Grizzlies were talking earlier that there was rumors that they were offering like 3 first-round picks for Klingon. I mean, maybe some of them are like top 50 protected. I don't know. But the point is, Klingon is this was the point right here where teams are going to start calling up about trading up for Donovan Klingon if he was available at 5, and he is available at 5.
Yeah, James just said wouldn't be surprised at all if Detroit moves back and swaps with Memphis here. So they're bleeding the clock, so they're probably on the phone.
Player-wise, Memphis is not going to offer you much other than maybe Luke Kennard. But as far as picks go, aside from the 9th pick, I know Utah has like the 28th, 29th, and 30th. Like they have a pick at the end of the first round and the pick at the beginning of the second round that they could offer in a trade back from 5 to 10. But if you want to go 5 to 9, the Grizzlies, like they have their own picks to offer, I think. I'm not exactly sure what their offer would be. I just heard that there were first-round picks being dangled. I don't know for what. And look, I wouldn't mind if the Pistons just drafted Klingon and kept them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm cool with that too.
Like, there is a reason why so many good teams, emphasis on good, want Donovan Klingon. I don't know what Woj is doing right now. I'm assuming he's talking about the Pistons.
Yes, about how they're the worst. They were the worst team in the league last year.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Bobby Marks' team needs 3-point shooting, versatility. I can't remember. I don't remember what the word was before versatility. It happened too fast. Clock's still running. There's Klingon. I don't know, man.
The Pistons are rumored to really like Saloon, to Johnny Saloon. Well, they've made a decision. I don't know if it's a trade or a pick, but they've made it. Yep, they've made a pick.
Here we go. Woj just tweeted out. Now he hasn't said that this is the pick, but Pistons are keeping the pick focused on Ron Holland. Sources tell ESPN.
Well. And Ron Holland is a guy that I believe I compared him to Eddie Jones in the absolute best case scenario because he is that type of an athlete. And you put Holland on one wing and you put Asar Thompson on the other wing and Kate Cunningham run, and that's an electric 3-on-2 fast break, right? But you're not going to live on those. You're going to need shooting at some point.
Well, I guess somebody's going to get lucky with Klingon because it looks like he's going to fall.
Well, yeah. And look, teams are going to keep trying to trade up. Possibly the Charlotte Hornets might. They're not going to take Klingon. They've already got their center.
He looks kind of unhappy. I don't know if that's because he didn't get drafted or he did get drafted by the Pistons.
All right, we'll turn the audio on.
Is he coming out? No, he's not out there yet.
Like, I don't hate Ron Holland. Like, that's a very high upside pick. Yeah, he's smiling. I think he's getting picked.
Yeah, and his parents or family on the either side.
That's a very high upside pick. Like, you can talk about Saloon all you want, but I think Holland is further along right now, and he's almost the same damn age.
I love the sound of Eddie Jones. I mean, you sold me on that last week as soon as you brought up Eddie Jones.
Again, he can't shoot, though. Eddie Jones, he couldn't shoot coming into the league. That's why he wasn't like a top 3 pick, but his shot developed quickly. Holland's shot may never develop. We don't know yet. Team needs 3-point shooting.
All right, here we go.
Let's go to you.
Well,
With the 5th pick in the 2024 NBA Draft, the Detroit Pistons select Ron Holland II
okay.
There you go.
from Dallas, Texas.
You know who it wasn't?
G League's Team Ignite.
You know who it wasn't? I think we can finally say that Arn Tellem is not running the friggin' Pistons. He's not twisting his beard behind the scenes. Because you know what? The Pistons passed on Montaz Bazelis.
Yes.
They passed on the guy represented by Arn Tellem's son. So if that doesn't prove to you that Arn Tellem is not running the Pistons, I don't know what else. Like, this is Trajan Langdon's team. Arn Tellem is a minority owner. He has no power over Trajan Langdon, at least not what he had over Troy Weaver, if he had any.
Right.
All right. But hey, this is someone that I went over last week. I was so worried we were going to get somebody that I didn't talk about. Yeah, so Ron Holland, 6'8", 6'9" wing. He has everything that you would possibly want, except that he can't shoot worth a damn. Super athletic. Attack the rim on a team against grown men in the G League for the G League Ignite. He had no floor spacing. He didn't even have a point guard, and he still managed to get to the rim pretty frequently and get to the line. Now, 73% foul shooter, that's going to have to improve. His 3-point percentage, 24%. That is horrendous. And you know what? His form, if you just looked at highlights of him shooting and didn't see the results, you'd swear he was like a 35% shooter at least. No, his form is actually, it looks good, but if it doesn't go in, who cares? But look, this is why the Pistons brought home, paid for one of the elite shooting coaches in all of basketball for players like this. Everything else, though, I mean, he's a great finisher. He's an outstanding shot blocker. As far as being a defensive wing, he's not the best defensive wing in this draft. He is the second best, though. The best defensive wing in this draft is probably going to go in the second round. We'll get into him a little bit later. Well, maybe we won't. Who knows? Yeah, Ryan Dunn. That's why I was trying to think of his name. But anyway, yeah. Everything else, like, he is very similar to, like, Asar Thompson has much better court vision. Asar Thompson is much stronger. I think there's more with Asar. Asar is a better rebounder, but in terms of how they like to play the game, they're very similar. Like, you could play them together, like one at the 3, one at the 4. But there is a lot of length there. There's a lot of athleticism there. His ability to play passing lanes is really, really, really good. And he has long arms, and he has the ability to go out and grab lazy passes.
Let's see what the kid has to say real quick.
First thing in your feature is your energy. That's also the first thing that jumps off the page. Where does that come from in terms of how you approach the game?
I think that comes from my family. Growing up, I grew up around a competitive family, super competitive with my uncle's side. Really just a lot of competing with anything when it comes to playing basketball, going in the street to race, and I think that was built into my family, and that was instilled in me, and then that has carried me throughout my whole journey.
So I got to take a little bit of a sidebar around, because as we were preparing for this, you're 18. Your favorite artist is Teddy Pendergrass?
Oh my God!
Yes.
Some people say but I get it from listening to all the music my parents listened to growing up. I really enjoyed listening to it, and then one day I just threw it on in the workout, and it was history from there.
Well, the Pistons locker room better debate whether you could be the DJ or not. Congratulations, Ron.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, Ron Holland is a Teddy Pendergrass fan, and I am buying a jersey. I love it. I'm so excited now.
Ron Holland is a guy. He probably had the biggest fluctuation on mock drafts of any player in this draft. I saw him going at 3. I saw him like bordering on dropping out of the lottery at like 14. It all depends on what you think of his shot and can he build that, because if he can build his shot, then you have a complete wing. There's really nothing else that he struggles with. But the shot is a major problem, and it's not Asar bad, but it's a problem. You're going to like the Pistons development staff is going to be making their money this summer. I promise you.
Oh, yeah.
He's not even 19 years old. He turns 19 what?
Let me see. And like next week, basically, July 7th.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know he's almost 19, but he's not. Like, he is still 18 years old at the time the Pistons are drafting him.
6'8", 18. I mean,
and this is a guy that physically could actually play for the Pistons next season. Is he going to start? No, unless he starts knocking down threes at a 40%. He's no threat to start. But he's a guy that I could absolutely see getting rotation minutes next season. Defensively, I think he's pretty close to a finished product. Just his motor, his anticipation, his instincts, all of that. He's got the whole package defensively. Similar to how Wasar Thompson did a year ago.
Well, there you go. I mean, is there anything else we want to talk about tonight?
Look, the Pistons might trade back in, and if they do, I suppose we can jump back in and make a comment or two. But like, they're not scheduled to pick again until the very end of the second round tomorrow, at least currently. But it wouldn't surprise me if they traded back in.
Wow, Klingon, Charlotte is going to keep the pick, and they're going to take Saloon. So Klingon is falling again.
Yeah.
Which,
hey, if you're the Memphis Grizzlies, that is like music to your ears, because you may not have to trade 2 first-round picks or whatever they were offering to get him. But look, we don't know how real those offers were. Also, like, I would be shocked if the Pistons turned down like 3 first-round picks just so they could draft Ron Holland, who's a high potential, but not as there's nothing sure about Ron Holland, like as a high impact NBA player. Like, he would take the 3 first-round picks. So I don't know how real those rumors were. But look, I think Pistons Twitter is probably going to be happy because Matas Bazelis was not picked. I know I'm happy. But like, they did look. Pistons Twitter did not like Matas because he was represented by Artellem's son. I didn't have that problem. My problem, like, if Artellem was representing Victor Wembanyama, give me Victor Wembanyama. I don't really care. I just didn't. The more I saw of Matas, the less I liked him.
Well, it's very mixed feelings so far. I'm seeing one tweet that says, "I feel so bad for Cade Cunningham."
Well, yeah, because he's not going to. The floor spacing is not going to. But look, they have $61 million to go and get floor spacing.
Right. But will they spend that? Well, now that Trajan's here, maybe they will.
Legally, by CBA bylaws, they have to spend it. But look, they're going to absorb contracts, but it doesn't mean they're going to absorb contracts they can't play, right? They're going to absorb Like, I could see Julius Randle coming to the Pistons for next to nothing. Because the Knicks absolutely have to get rid of his contract.
Yeah, I was actually just going to say that because I just saw a tweet that said that was asking like, "Hey, let's get Julius Randle on a buyout."
And look, the Knicks have not a buyout. That doesn't help.
Well, he would get bought out by the Knicks, maybe.
No, that doesn't help the Knicks at all. No, the Knicks are hard. They're above the second tax apron right now with all the players, all the contracts that they like. They can't even bring back Hartenstein. They can't do it because they're hard capped above the second apron. Like, really what they need to do is just find a team with cap space to unload Julius Randle's $30 million and just take it off their hands, so to give them the money to bring Hartenstein back and also rebalance the roster, because Julius Randle or OG Anunoby, one of them is not going to be able to start. So, like, real, and look, the Knicks have the Pistons pick. They have a pick, a protected pick from the Pistons. Like, to me, that's a no-brainer deal. Just offer the Pistons their pick back. Like, Randall's expensive, but he'll opt out of his contract after next season, and you'll be done with it.
Oh man, well, I guess we'll see what happens. But do you wanna get out of here?
Yeah. Again, if something major happens and the Pistons, I don't have a problem getting back on. I'll watch the rest of this first round. But as of right now, I'm cool with signing off.
Well, I do want to just hold on. I do just want to do one thing here before we get out of here.
I don't know if no, it's nothing news. But the greatest basketball movie ever made finally got released on DVD yesterday.
Oh, all right.
Just like in the old days, not available streaming, only on DVD. But I'll take what I can get.
Detroit Lions rookie cornerback Ennis Rakestraw is apparently a classmate of Holland from Duncanville High School. How about that?
They must have been that must have been like a freshman senior thing, because they're way different in age.
Well, I think Rakestraw's
Holland's 18. Like, you can't be an NFL draft pick unless you're like 20, 21 at the right. So they had to have been like just passing each other.
Rakestraw just turned 22.
So this is a freshman senior thing.
Yeah. But all right, I got to do one more thing before we get out of here, and that's pay tribute to the newest draft pick, Ron Holland, by playing just a little bit. Turn off the lights. All right. Light a candle. Okay.
Teddy Pendergrass is old. How do you think about Teddy Pendergrass?
I love Teddy Pendergrass.
Let's take a shower.
All right.
Shower together. I'll wash your body. Wash mine, yeah.
All right, everybody. We will see you guys next week, unless the Pistons trade back up. Then we'll see you a little bit later on tonight. But thanks for watching the show, and maybe go, grab your loved one and give them a kiss and just tell them how much you love them on this beautiful starry night. You've been listening to Pillow Talk on Bad Boys Beyond.